Welcome to the Cayman's Island podcast, where we talk all things San Francisco 49ers. I'm your host, David Cayman, and in today's show, I really want to talk about the reports surrounding Brock Purdy's contract negotiations. There are reports that Brock Purdy is looking for a contract comparable to that of the Dak Prescott. Let's go. Now, I want to start out by saying that I'm a Brock Purdy guy. I do like Brock Purdy, and I think that Brock Purdy should get a fair contract extension based on several different factors. One of those being the market, what he's done for us in the past, and really based on what Kyle, John, and the front office, I believe they believe he can do for the franchise moving forward. I know this has been a very, very compelling topic. I have seen, flat out arguments with sports talking heads going back and forth whether or not, Brock should get some sort of mega deal. And really want to highlight a couple of points. And these points are going to be fair across the board. There are going to be things that we're going to talk about where I feel you can make an argument that Brock should absolutely accept a $45 million, a yearly contract versus asking for something in that Dak Prescott echelon of quarterback pay. But with that being said, I want to first start by saying that when it comes to the pros of re-signing Brock Purdy for whatever that number is, whatever that contract negotiation, ends up coming to, you have a situation where you have continuity with the team. You know Brock's strengths. You know his weaknesses. You can really begin building the team around Brock. If you think about last year, I think there were some things, some areas that could have really helped Brock out a lot. Even with all the injuries, even with all the things going on, the turmoil, the personal struggles for certain players outside of the team, the tragedies, the defense not being able to stop anyone at all, being ran on like an absolute track meet. I feel that Kyle Shanahan could have really made some adjustments throughout the season that could have made this, for lack of better words, better. There were times where Kyle was extremely stubborn in his play style and scheme. There were games we saw where the ball was clearly being forced to Deebo Samuel. And for whatever reason, maybe it's the play design, scheme, he is getting older. For whatever reason, his results on the football field definitely lost a step. There were times where I felt that we should have just stuck to the run and did not. And I felt there were times where we could have mixed some things up by putting some of our younger rookies, by rotating some guys in and out better, that would have really prevented injuries. I feel like if we do a post-mortem of this season, coaching, I feel was the theme of really the downfall of our season. Now, I want to be clear that I watched Brock with my own eyes, obviously press, obviously force too much. I don't know if it was, the impending contract negotiations. Like I said, I saw Brock later in the season get very uncharacteristic in his approach to the game and really what he does. Throwing the ball up into triple coverage, that's just a weird one, right? I can't wrap my head around that. Like I said, for whatever reason, I think he really tried to carry the team. And what we learned through this is that, spoiler alert, Brock Purdy is not Josh Allen. Wow. I never would have figured that out before this season. But if you look at all the contracts that have been handed out, right? You have your Jordan Love contract. That contract, based on the sample size, I would not have made that offer to Jordan Love. You look at the contract extension for Trevor Lawrence. I really feel like with Trevor, it was more, we're giving you this contract based on what we feel that you can do in the future. You know, his throwing power, ability, his size, what could happen in the future. So they gave that man all that money with nothing to show for as far as results. Okay. So then why is Brock Purdy such a big deal? Is it because he had a down year last year with everyone hurt, everyone out, defense could not stop anybody? Okay, you stick Joe Burrow, you stick Josh Allen on the team with that talent, man, they are so good and can carry so well, man. They may have got us all the way to the first round of the playoffs, in which Washington puts up 35 points in the first quarter, right? We had a very hot and cold running game, very hot and cold play calling. Do we even want to have a conversation about the special teams? Do we even want to talk about the missed kicks? Do we really want to go into how many times there was blown tackles in the special teams game? It just, last year wasn't it for anybody. Okay, if we're basing contract extensions on last year, I think Kyle Shanahan owes some money back. Okay, so, and then I also think about, so what was the plan? Let's say last year Brock didn't have those random freak out fits, and let's say he throws 4 less interceptions. He throws for 300-400 more yards, stays healthy, doesn't miss any games. Let's say his passer rating's a little higher, and we somehow squeak into the playoffs as a wild card team and get blown out. Would that statistical difference been enough for you to run $60 million up to him and his agent after the season? I'm confused what the plan is. Why is it now that we're playing hardball in these negotiations? Was this the plan all along? If we would have made it to the NFC Championship game again and just lost, is that guaranteed we were giving the man $65 million? I'm just curious. I'm just curious to know what the overall plan was, because it seems to me, based on the free agency moves, based on the cutting of spending that we're doing, I really feel like this was going to be the plan regardless. So it seems like the 49ers are sticking true to this plan. Again, maybe it's that Brock, this past year was super Brock, and we eked out even a playoff win with us how bad of our defense and special teams we had. Maybe we still eke out that playoff win. Was that enough to run $68 million up to Brock? Was it all a part of the plan to start cutting some of this spending? So I'm really trying to understand why there's such this big gap with Brock. I know that there's going to go back to the whole Mr. Irrelevant, 7th round pick. He doesn't have the greatest arm. I get all of those things. But I've seen with my own eyes that when Brock's on his game, Brock's on his game. I mean, there were even some games with injuries where Brock was like, whoa, okay. Brock's still Brock. He can still do this. It didn't get crazy until really, really later in the season, where he just kind of concerning that he unraveled on us, the whole elbow injury thing, that was a bit concerning. But let's take into consideration, because you have to, right? You have to take into consideration the full scope of work. And I've seen Brock Purdy in the playoffs with my own eyes, outperform all of these guys that's in this, $55 million contract range. Of course, Josh Allen being the exception. He just got his new deal. But you look at folks like, your Jared Goff type of money. You look at your, you even look at your Sam Darnold money that was just given out. Like, I understand that he had a really, really good statistical regular season, and then absolutely in the playoffs turned into Sam Darnold. A lot of these guys, the Jordan Loves, the Trevor Lawrences, I mean, they haven't won anything, and they got paid just based on the market. I think about guys who's had to really, beat on the table and fight for their money. I think about Lamar Jackson betting on himself, and I completely understand that. And I mean, eventually he got paid as well. So it's like, why all of a sudden do we want to try and correct the market? If we feel like the Dak Prescott deal was atrocious, and which it was. Now, mind you, he's coming off an MVP type season. I get all that. But again, man, Dak hasn't won anything. In the playoffs, when have you seen Dak perform where it's like, man, that guy's going to get us to and win us a Super Bowl? I feel confident that we can win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott. Can we say that we feel confident in Jordan Love that he can win a Super Bowl? Do we feel confident in Trevor Lawrence that he can actually win a Super Bowl? What proof, what evidence do we have that man is going to just flip on the switch, turn it around, and get the Jacksonville Jaguars to a Super Bowl? My man Jared Goff, he's been to a Super Bowl. I thought Jared had a very good, very productive season last year. And then for whatever reason, man, you get to the playoffs and it's like, and this is what I feel personally. I feel Jared Goff got into the playoffs, man, and the pressure, the weight of that whole city, Detroit wanting to get to a Super Bowl, that the pressure of how great a season they had, the comeback wins they had, the stats they put up. It seems like all that pressure. And of course now injuries to defense. Like I'm not crazy. I realize that, they had no healthy defenders in the playoffs. But man, Jared did not look good. And for whatever reason, maybe it was the pressure of the moment. And then I look at what I've seen from Brock Purdy, right? What he's done in the playoffs. And when I look at the 2023 season, and I want to throw out regular season stats, regular season numbers, because when you get to that playoff dance, that's where stuff matters. Okay. I watched Brock Purdy make the necessary plays with his legs, with his arm, improving out there at times, helping us to get a win at home against Green Bay. You follow that up the following week. We're absolutely positively getting the doors blown off of us at home against the Lions. It's insane. And I watched Brock kind of put the team on his back, make the necessary plays with his arm, make the necessary plays with his legs to bring us back. Okay? You get to the Super Bowl. And I'm just going to be absolutely honest. Outside of like Dre Greenlaw, him getting hurt at halftime, man, and Brock Purdy, who else showed up for the 49ers during that Super Bowl? Seriously. We want to say that, Brock's this good or whatnot because he has this super team, this team of stars. Well, let's talk about that for a second. What did that team of stars do for Brock to help him in that Super Bowl? What did his head coach do to help him in that Super Bowl? Oh, that's right. He knew the overtime rules. Like, come on. Even against all odds, with Chris Jones every snap wearing Brock's jersey, I thought he played pretty well under the circumstances. The ball was being forced to Debo. Debo couldn't get open. You have my man CMC fumbling the ball on the first drive. I mean, can you imagine what would have happened if that fumble didn't happen? I really feel like we probably would have blew those guys out. George, man, celebrating, when he could have been diving on that fumble. One catch. Kyle's play calling coming out in the second half. All those drives over and over and over again, throwing the ball instead of reestablishing the run in the second half. Through all of that, this guy kept his calm, kept his poise in the got-to-have-it drives in the Super Bowl against arguably the greatest quarterback talent to ever exist on the earth. Kept his cool, kept his poise, had us a lead in overtime. Make no mistake about it. I want to be clear. He absolutely did miss some throws. He missed some throws. With all that being said, I've seen the potential in Brock, even with his stars fumbling the bag, not playing to their superstar status level against arguably the greatest quarterback talent to ever exist. Keep his cool, keep his composure. All that being said, I think we can win a Super Bowl. I think the San Francisco 49ers can win a Super Bowl with this kid. Now, with that said, I do think Brock needs help. I think we need to get some youth in there. I think we need to shore up that offensive line. I think we need some speed, man. We're so slow. I love me some Jennings. I actually really think Ricky Pearsall is going to be that guy. I really do. I really like the way Ricky came on toward the end of the season. Let's be honest. The one thing consistent is seriously, it's plug and play in the 49ers running game system. Whoever we put back there more than likely is going to be productive. If Christian McCaffrey comes back and he's 85% of himself and we draft a few guys, I think we're going to be fine. Where I think we really need some help and consistency is on the defensive side of the ball. We need to go trenches heavy in the draft, shore up that D tackle spot, get some more help on the other side of Bosa. I think our secondary is very solid. We can also add through the draft, maybe add some guys, some veterans at defensive end with some draft trading, things of that nature, and just having Robert Saleh back with, some common sense, best practice defensive coaching tactics, I think will be much better than last year on defense, just his presence and just his play calling alone. So all in all, I do feel like what I've seen from Brock, the best and worst, I really feel like we're not going to have as many tragedies. My hope is that, honestly, we can get this deal done. We can get Brock signed. He can get into camp, have a full camp, have his guys that is actually going to be on the team, building that chemistry, building that rapport with one another. I'm really hoping Kyle will, if we end up trading Brandon Ayuk and we already don't have Deebo Samuel, I'm hoping that this will force Kyle Shanahan to do Kyle Shanahan-like things, put some wrinkles in the offense, scheme something new in the system, really focus on Brock's strengths and how his timing works and the things that he does do, really well. I think we would all agree Brock is a good quarterback. Brock Purdy is not. I don't think Brock Purdy is Joe Burrow. I don't think that Brock Purdy is Josh Allen. I'm not going to put him in that. I'm not going to put him in that tier of quarterbacks. But guys, it's very, very, very hard to find a good quarterback, a quarterback that you're comfortable with, a quarterback that's had even as much success as Brock Purdy has had, right? I know that Josh Allen has never been to a Super Bowl and he has to go through Patrick Mahomes, and that's tough. It really truly is. It is very tough, but I look at I look at Josh Allen in that playoff game against Kansas City. He had the ball in his hand, had an opportunity to drive down there and do something. And as great as Josh is, and the guy to have it drive, he didn't get it done. Now, again, I know it's Kansas City's defense, and, Brock Purdy went up against, in my opinion, a stronger defense in the 2023 season. And then the guy to have it drive at least got us down there for a field goal. And if we could slow Chris Jones down by 1 second, the 49ers probably win that Super Bowl. Christian McCaffrey doesn't fumble. Dre Greenlaw doesn't get hurt. Blah, 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 blah. On and on and on. Shoulda, woulda, coulda, right? We didn't get it done. I just feel like Brock Purdy does deserve a good contract. Dak Prescott's deal, that's bad. Bad, 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 bad. I don't think that Brock, I think that through these negotiations, if you're representing Brock Purdy and you're representing the player, of course you're going to come to the table with a high offer. That's why there's a negotiation process. Okay. If I had to make a prediction, I think it's going to be like $55.5 million that Brock ends up settling for, just because I feel that there is going to be some back and forth. The 49ers do hold every bit of leverage. They can force Brock to play on the final year of his deal. They can essentially franchise tag him twice after that and save a lot of money. But when you do stuff like that, if you go out here and you play this, forcing a player to play on his last year of his deal, when you force, a quarterback to play on a franchise tag over and over again, man, that sends a message to the league. That sends, it almost is like, man, the 49ers publicly said that this is their guy and they want to take care of him, but they don't want to even offer the man a comparable wage to these other guys based on the market. And I know that you have to look at it. You have to look at it from a GM perspective and a player perspective, and then meet somewhere in the middle. I want to say to the point of, and I know this is probably a ridiculous statement, but I believe the 49ers are one of the most, financially money-making sports franchises on the planet. Okay, so what's the difference between $52 million and $55 million? I know that's a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. I know that's probably ridiculous, but is it worth? Is $3 million annually? And you can always work some crazy contract magic and put, do cap magic with the contract negotiations where it's not a cap heavy hit in the beginning and all these other bonuses and roster items kick in the later years anyway, to where it's almost like a team friendly deal in the first couple of seasons anyway. Is it worth a holdout, all the drama in the press, all the questions to Kyle over a couple of extra $1 million that you could use some funny money around and make it to where it's like nothing anyway? I just don't understand. I really don't get it. I'm confident. I'm still confident. I know it doesn't look good right now with the whole Brock wants $60 million. He wants to get paid like Dak. And then you hear rumors, the 49ers initial offer was $45 million. I think that this is a lot of gamesmanship, a lot of politics, a lot of what happens at negotiation tables between front offices and, NFL agents. The last thing I want to really talk about is what's the alternative at this point? Well, what's the alternative? If you truly are not vested in Brock, do you want to allow Brock the opportunity to go out here and seek a trade, see what he can get on the open market? Do you really think that Mac Jones, first year in the system, is going to be better than Brock Purdy or even comparable to Brock Purdy? I personally don't think so. I'm an SEC guy, big Georgia fan, and I watched Mac Jones. I watched Mac Jones have a great year. I think he's got a strong arm. He is I think he is an NFL starter. He was an NFL starter anyway, and he's got some good things going for him. But man, he's a statue back there. If you focus and you watch our offensive line play, how up and down it can be at times, you have to have somebody mobile back there. I think Mac would be a very, very good backup for in the event Brock, went down or had to come out for some plays or a few series or whatnot. I think Mac Jones over time, man, could be a really good asset once he learns the playbook and learn the system. But we're not winning anything with Mac Jones. We're not winning anything. We might not win anything with Brock Purdy. If we can't get Brock Purdy could go out here and have a very, very good season, and we might win 9 games. And that's even with this softer schedule. So again, what's the alternative? What's the alternative to not keeping Brock? I know a lot of folks say, well, nobody's going to pay Brock Purdy but the 49ers. All right, so I want to ask the question then. What would the 49ers pay Dak Prescott? What would the 49ers pay Jordan Love with what they've seen now? Would they also be playing the same hardball with those guys? Like, is Dak Prescott in the 49ers system better than Brock Purdy? Is Dak Prescott in the playoffs better than Brock Purdy? Is Jordan Love better than Brock Purdy in the playoffs? Do we even want to bring up Trevor Lawrence? Jared Goff, Sam Darnold. I mean, if we're just comparing playoff performances, what we've seen, because it's all about the fact that Brock had a very poor 2024, a very average season in 24, and it's a what have you done for me lately league. So should we have let Brock walk and give Sam Darnold $2 and a chicken biscuit to come and play? I mean, I just don't get it, guys. I really feel like as much as the 49ers have lost in free agency, as much has gone on, as much drama as we've had, I actually feel like the 49ers really handled the Deebo Samuel situation actually very well. I'm happy that they were able to get Deebo to a team where I think he can have some success until he plays the Niners. Can't have any success against the Niners. But I appreciate the way they handled that situation. Now, reportedly, it's looking like, guys, we might really trade Brandon Ayuk before that April 1st date when that huge bonus kicks in. So if we're saving all this money and we're, doing this kind of soft reset, like, do we want to play around with off-season drama and an unstable quarterback situation? For me, man, it's like you were going to pay this guy if he had a decent season anyway. And again, I would say that the 24 season on paper was okay. It wasn't dog water or just, kick this guy off the team. But if you use the eye test, toward the end of that year, Brock started collapsing a bit. And that is something to think about. But I think that Brock Purdy is perfect for the 49ers, and the 49ers are perfect for Brock Purdy. I say stop playing games and get this man paid. Appreciate you guys watching. Take care. Be blessed.